Hi guys, and welcome back to Cat Talks. Unfortunately, the first half of this week's footage was deleted by an over-eager SD card. However, I have, got this beautiful zoo footage to show you, so stay tuned for a tiger roaring, and then to hear what I've been reading this week. Hey! Hi guys, so it is a Wednesday night and we just finished off, what? Hi guys, it's a Wednesday night and it is just late enough that I am going to go to bed after filming this. We went to the zoo today. Hopefully you will have seen awesome snapshots of animals just taken right there. And I also managed to read a couple more stories in 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. I'm now on page 220, I think, so I only have 3 more short stories to go before I have finished with this. And I might actually be able to finish it tomorrow, which would be within the month of Asian Readathon, and I would be awesome. I've also been reading a little bit of The Trial by Franz Kafka. It is so confusing, this classic. I have no idea what's going on. I'm about a quarter of the way through the novel. A man has been arrested, but no one will tell him why, or what the proceedings are, or where he should go. And yeah, it's just really confusing, and I'm probably gonna have to look up an explanation for this one after I finish it, because I don't know if I'm literary enough to understand it. So, alright, so it is the end of Thursday. It was a non-working day for the whole of Sweden, which is called a red day. So we all had a red day and I got a lot of reading done. So I actually managed to finish 1,000 Beginnings and Endings. I really didn't enjoy most of the stories in here. There were a couple of very good ones, but a lot of mediocre ones, so my rating for the book is 3.5. It just felt as though maybe the editors had had this idea to make a collection of short stories and decided that they needed to publish it before a certain date, and then contacted all the authors and said, look, you have 2 weeks. It was just rushed. It felt like the stories weren't very well constructed. Some of them, so they're all retellings of Asian myths, but some of them felt very much like the authors didn't really know where they wanted to go with them, and I was just very disappointed. I found 2 or 3 gems, but I don't know if it's just me and I just don't like short stories or what it is, but this was not for me. However, it was the last book. It was the last book I needed for my Asian Readathon, so I read 5 books for the Asian Readathon specifically during the month of May. Forgot which month we were in. Do that a lot. Then the second book to update you on is the Franz Kafka, The Trial by Franz Kafka. This one's weird. It has long running-on paragraphs that never end, that go on for a chapter. It kind of takes a lot of willpower to follow what's going on. It's very slow, it's very boring. I suspect that's kind of supposed to be very much like the trial that is described in the book, but I have no idea what's going on, and I'm gonna have to look at a study guide afterwards so I understand it. But I am still enjoying it. I'm still enjoying the chance to read a classic. So yeah, that's where we are with Franz Kafka. Is his name Franz? That's where we are with the Kafka book anyway. I'm at 80% through the trial, so I only have a little bit more to go, which I think I can finish tomorrow. Which should be the last bingo roll complete, so that's really exciting. And then when Kafka is putting me to sleep, I've picked up one of the ones from my TBR that was sort of extra credit, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is the fanfiction that Kath is writing in Fangirl. It is a little bit odd because it's kind of Harry Potter fanfiction, but kind of not, so it's kind of hard to, yeah, it's kind of Harry Potter fanfiction. But I am enjoying it. There are enough differences that make it interesting. There's still a wood though, or a forbidden forest. And it's kind of more of a Harry Potter parody than anything else at this point, but I am on page 111 and, you know, there's some kind of like interesting stuff happening. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to reading more. Rainbow Rowell is a very easy author for me to read. She's got a voice that's very similar to my own and very similar to my preferred reading style, so I can just sit down and read 100 pages, no problem. So I think I will probably finish this tomorrow, and if not tomorrow, then on Saturday, which is the last day of the month? No, Saturday's the 1st of June, and this needs to go back to the library by Wednesday, so I better get my read on. There's another book that I actually picked during my bingo-a-thon, which is up now, so if you want to have a look at what books I'll be reading in June, clicky this way, clicky the little exclamation marky. But, and that is a NetGalley that is expired. No, that's not the word. It is archived. The NetGalley is archived on the 6th of June, I believe, so I really need to read that after this one, so this will be the last time. This will be the last book of choice, I guess, at the end of a TBR, because next month we're starting again with a new, fresh, bingo-picked TBR. Please, that is it, everything for today. Tomorrow is also kind of a day off from work, and then I start my new job on Monday, so I need to spend at least some of the weekend getting ready and packing all my things, getting in the zone. Hi guys, so it is the end of Friday. As you can see, we have been busy setting up some shelves, which I did not record because, trust me, that would have been the most boring content of your entire life as we very carefully adjusted screws, but now we have some bookshelves. I've put some books on them, and I have a quick reading update. So I managed to finish Kafka's The Trial before I went to bed yesterday. Boy, was that a confusing one. It's essentially about a man who wakes up and suddenly he's been arrested. However, they don't change anything else about his life. He can continue on as he was before while his trial is continuing without him, and it's all very confusing. He's not sure why he's been arrested. No one else seems to know either. Everyone is just part of a machine. The reason that this work is lauded so much is because Kafka successfully predicted the rise of the alt-right/Nazis in Germany. That he managed to spot that kind of politics brewing under the surface and how it would affect people living in that kind of environment. And then I needed something a bit more light and fluffy, so I picked up Rainbow Rowell's Carry On and finished it. Now, I was actually mistaken when I said earlier that this is the fanfiction that Kath writes. It is set in the same world as the fanfiction that Kath writes, but this is not the same book. But this is not supposed to be the same. She says in the author note that this is actually her take on a fanfiction of the fictional Baz and Simon Snow. I really enjoyed this. There were some plot lines that weren't wrapped up towards the end, but I still really enjoyed this. I thought this was fresh, and it's just one of those reads that you know where everything is going, but you still enjoy it anyway. So I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the characters and the romance that blossomed between them. It was all very PG, so this is definitely a young adult read, and yeah, it worked out really nicely. Okay, so that is all I read today. I've just uploaded my June TBR, so I am planning on getting started with that tomorrow morning. I might sneak in a tiny bit of reading for it tonight, but it is the 31st, so I feel like I should be allowed. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow. So it is Saturday, it is around lunchtime. I'm about to take the library books back, so I thought I'd give you a quick update on where my reading is at and then take them back before the library shuts in 45 minutes, and that means that I don't have to go out in the rain. Alright, so the first book I read this week the first book I finished this week was The Phantom Tollbooth. This is by two American authors. Jules Pfeiffer illustrated it and Norton Juster wrote it. This is a fantastic tale about Milo, a boy who wakes up one day to find a toll booth package in his room. Actually, he comes home from school and finds this package, constructs it, and gets transported to this very odd, wonderful land where, like, there are, as I said before, there are spelling bees and things like that. There's a bee that spells things as it talks, and it was just really good fun. It was lighthearted, it was a good middle grade. I read it in Swedish. I'm very proud of myself for reading it in Swedish because I definitely didn't think that I would be able to do so, and that's book one. Book two was this book. It's 1,000 Beginnings and Ends and edited by Ellen O and Elsie Chapman. The second book was 1,000 Beginnings and Endings, edited by Ellen O and Elsie Chapman. This is a collection of 15 retellings from Asian culture, I guess, by Asian authors, and it's folk tales from their childhood and stories and things like that retold. I've talked about this before. I didn't really enjoy it. I think I'd give it a 3.5 stars. A lot of the stories felt rushed and unedited and clumsy, and I guess short stories maybe aren't for me, but I didn't really enjoy this one. The third book I finished this week was The Trial by Franz Kafka. This was a very short read. It was very odd. One of the chapters is unfinished because this was published posthumously, but I did kind of enjoy it, kind of not. I would say 3.5 stars, I think, pretty average, but it was really interesting the way that he wrote deliberately to confuse the reader and about confusing things for the characters as well. The final book that I picked up and finished this week was Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is the story of Baz and Simon Snow in a fictional world. Simon Snow is a mage who cannot control his own powers. They're either there and they're like super powerful, or they don't come at all. And he does a lot of magic without using spells, which is really bizarre in this world. And his roommate is called Baz. Baz is a vampire, but he can't tell anyone because vampire magicians aren't allowed. Vampire mages, sorry, aren't allowed, and if they find out, they will rip out his fangs and take his wand away. And this is the last year in a magical school with the mage who's in charge, and the magical insidious humdrum is going around eating people's magic. So this is about whether or not they managed to resolve any of those problems. It's a super sweet romance. I felt it was very sweet and very easy to read. Rainbow Rowell's books usually are, but I didn't feel like it did anything new in the genre. It was very much like a starter novel, so I think I would give this a 3.5 as well. Finally, I have, because it's the 1st of June, pinch and a punch, first of the month, I have also picked up The Changing of the Guards by Matt Spencer. This is from one of my NetGalley books and I need to finish it by the 5th of June, so I better get reading. I have about 4 hours left in this tome of a book, and I'm going to do a separate video about what I think and feel about this one, and it might be a rant review based on my current experiences. And yeah, that is what I'm currently reading. So these are all the books that I read this week, and yeah, I think I did a pretty good job. 4 books is not bad, and one of them was a classic, about 2 of them were classics, and this actually means that I finished, by completing Franz Kafka's The Trial, I finished all of my bingo prompts for the month, which means no more money added to the jar. So that is awesome. I'm really proud of myself for doing that. All right, I better get back to the library. Don't forget to hit like if you like this video and subscribe if you want to see more from me. I publish weekly vlogs and also normal content where I talk at a camera. If you want to see what I'll be reading in June and see my book bingo, please check out the video here, and have a fantastic week, you guys. And I hope you find something great to read. Bye!